You are not a follower. You are a leader.
For Jim Clancy and the vocal majority, the sound of music is the magic in their lives.
I had never heard anything like that in my life.
He's really bringing the best person out, making you be the best that you can possibly be.
I'm not worried about the chorus anymore. I'm just concerned with you.
The fact that the vocal majority can impact a single human being in a positive way makes it worthwhile.
Always, every day, just maybe, keep this music going forever.
The vocal majority is a great way to fill your heart.
So long as I'm the director of this chorus, we will never again finish second.
The vocal majority!
So the VM, you know, is a competitive cuss. I mean, we love to compete, and the vocal majority went on what we call the run, and well documented, you know, winning in 75, coming back in 78, and the thoroughbreds beating the chorus. But then the chorus went on a run after Jim Clancy said, hey, as long as I'm the director, we'll never ever finish second. And lo and behold, that sucker didn't last 30 years. But the run is 1979, 1982, 85, 88, 91, 94, 97, 2000, 2003, 2006. If your math's not good, that's 10 in a row.
How about the time I went to Indiana? I was lying, I was down in Alabama. I said I had some business I had to complete. What I was doing, I would be a cad to repeat, so I'd like to repeat it to you. Talk about the evenings I was with my mother, I was stepping with another honey. Hardly land to think I swore our love was real, but baby, let us not forget that I'm a heel. I don't know how you could believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar. Yes, I've been a liar, good for nothing liar, nothing but a liar. It's a sin to tell about my doggone good for nothing lying lie.
So 79 was How Can You Believe Me When I Said I Love You When You Know I've Been a Liar All My Life, and Old Lang Syne, and they just smacked everyone.
I love you, I need you, please say you'll be mine, for the sake of Old Lang
So how do you top that? You come back in 1982, and a lot of people will talk about 82 and how dominant the chorus was that year. I was in the audience and I was like, whoa.
Broadway, soon I'll bid you goodbye. Broadway, I've a good reason why I stay, but as much as I try, my heart's yearning for a candlelight that's burning. And when you look in your eyes, a pretty little eyes of blue is true, you'll know that there'll come a day when she's gonna say she will be true. I love my redhead, redhead. If you know redhead, my pal, then you'll know why she's the one I love. I love my redhead, she's my favorite gal. I love my sweet little redhead, little ginger redhead.
So my favorite vocal majority contest set of all time was actually 1985. And I wasn't in the chorus yet. I was still, I was barbershopping, and my friend Mark Holdeman and I would love it. We hung out a lot at the barbershop conventions, and we went to every vocal majority rehearsal in Minneapolis where the contest was. And they were singing Come Take My Place in Your Heart and this Hey Leader Man band medley. It was freaking great.
The rest of my life, so come take your place in my heart. In my heart. Leader man, let the drums roll out, the trumpet call, while people stand and shout, strike up the hand, hear the cymbals ring, on one and all, to the martial strings, strike up the band. There is work to be done, there's a prize to be won, come you son of a gun, take your stand.
Man, the Calderons and what they did with the chord. You know, everyone else, it's a band song. Everyone else would have the band come straight out of the chord. They turned the band on the side, and the chorus is in white, and these hats appeared out of nowhere. And there's this part where the front row would go up in the middle of the chorus, and they did this whole band thing, and they'd come back down. And if you've seen it, you know that actually Urban Rogers comes out as this band leader guy dressed in blue, and it's just, oh my gosh, it blows you. The chorus parts, and here he comes down with that hat and the whole thing and spins that thing. We're like, oh my God, it's so great. What I found out later, this cracked me up, because I get it now. I didn't know the heart and the core of the VM later. As the chorus was ramping up, 4 or 5 times Urban would trick the guys. And so they'd be in practice, and he steps off the risers. And one time he came out dressed like a rich tone, which is one of the Sweet Adeline chorus in town. Another time he came out, and he comes out and he's dressed like a mouse, because he had a mouse costume from one of the Christmas shows. That's just the joy and the fun of the VM. That's one of my favorite stories from the 85 contest set.
So raise your baton, Mr. Leader Man. Wave it majestically to the sky. Wave it high. Strike up the band, Mr. Leader Man. I love to see a marching band go passing by. Those snare drums are beating with their syncopated rhythm, and the tubas really knock me off my feet. What a treat, won't you step right this way? Hear the brass band play, raise your baton, Mr. Leader Man. You're the envy of us all, standing proud, marching tall. Hey leaders, strike up the band, and make a stand, you're like a man.
Pianos are thumping, the dancers are bumping, the roof is a rocking, the neighbors are knocking. This joint is jumping, this joint is jumping, this jumping joint is going wild, it's going wild.
When Ambiance won Sweet Adeline's International in 1986, it was either Gary Parker or Bill Thornton that were there and heard them. And they liked the material that they sang. And they told Jim Clancy,
There's a young arranger that's just out of this world, man. He just levels above anybody. He said, his name's David Wright. He said, you need to give him a call.
Jim called me, and I cannot describe what it is like to pick up the phone, and at the other end is Jim Clancy. Not me calling him calling me. Having admired him for so many years from afar, to get that phone call was one of the most memorable events in my life, I have to say. Heard about your wife's quartet, blah, blah, blah. We would like you to do something for us.
Would you maybe consider arranging something for the vocal majority? Said, I've heard an awful lot about your arrangement.
I said, okay, what? Well, we don't know. That's always the way it has been with the vocal majority. They don't know. I remember hanging up the phone and just trembling in my shoes, thinking, what have I done? I've got to come up with something that these guys can sing that's going to set them apart what am I going to do? And the first arrangement I did was Waiting for the Robert E. Lee. And I remember shipping it off to him and thought, oh, I don't know if they're going to like this or not. And then I just remember getting a call from him saying, oh, how much they love this, and they love the tag, and they love what I did with this and that. And man, I heaved a sigh of relief, but I also felt like $1 million, you know? It's like, okay, that's good.
David was just such a master arranger, just, you know, he's just unbelievable.
1988 was my very first convention contest run. That was my first gold medal with the vocal majority. So down in San Antonio. And that was back when you had 2 rounds of chorus performances. You had a kind of a semifinal round and then a final round, 2 song sets in each one. And so we had to prepare 4 songs, which was a first.
So one of the songs they selected was Who's Gonna Love You, Baby, When I'm Away, medley with Who Will Take My Place. And in the vocal majority's mind, they felt like, oh, it's like we're spoofing ourselves. You know, I think the audience will catch it, what we're doing. Well, I mean, it took me, and I told Jim, I said, Jim, because he called me back, I told him, this is not a great song. It's not a good visual song.
Although it broke your heart when I said I must depart, you say you'll entertain yourself somehow while I'm away.
I did it, I taught it, and he calls me a few weeks later and says, is there anything else you can do with this song? Because, you know, I said, I think I told you that it was not good, you know, that is, but you know what, that page 1 took me 8 hours just for page 1. I said, it was a very difficult visual song.
Call mine, who will be gazing in your eyes divine. I wonder, is it some pal of mine who's making you smile? Maybe teasing, caressing all.
We sang that first set, and I was embarrassed about it.
He ain't gonna love you, ain't gonna hold you. He won't take my place when I'm gone, when I'm gone. I'm gonna be right here to love you from now on. Won't be long from now on.
I think the audience gave us a good, polite reception, but not what you expect. And I was totally embarrassed about it, so disappointed. I was mad.
When you all performed that first song, the first night of the contest, there was no wow about the vocal majority. And in fact, people were worried that you all weren't even in first yet.
It was leaked to the chorus that after the first round, we were actually in second place.
Tap, 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 to steady beat those happy. Come on, undo Charleston, we're gonna dance, dance, dance. Tonight, what a dance, what a dance.
Gary Parker came to, I think it was Chuck Mitchell, our choreographer, and Jason January and me. And Gary's brother-in-law, I believe, was in the pit. And we were told we were behind.
We realized that we were in second place and we might get beat.
The 3 of us anguished over whether or not to tell Dad. I mean, we anguished, and we finally decided we had to tell him. He was not pleased, and the competitor that he is very much came out.
So I remember everybody went into a practice room right out of first session, right into practice, and started working on Robert E. Lee.
And I mean, you know, the game was on, and the chorus didn't know what was going on, but I remember, like, before the curtain opened, he's like circling the bowl, you know, in front of the riser, just pat, 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 pat.
But when we did that second set, I still had some mad in me, I really did.
Dear, it seems years since we parted. Years full of tears and regret. I've been alone.
We did the ballad, which I arranged, not particularly, just an okay ballad, you know, Girl of My Dreams, beautiful song, Barbershop. They did a good, nice, presentable job. And then we were just waiting for that Robert E. Lee. I'll tell you what, man, the guys were into that.
Extended for that riverside and eventide to watch them shuffling along down there where I belong. Hear my soul cry, heart sigh, to be on the levee. I said on the levee and join that shuffling. I wanna be there shuffling along, yes, hear that music and song. Great Bay waiting on the levee in old Alabama, waiting when the good ship Robert E. Lee comes along. I wanna hear that music and song. I wanna join that old time throng, shuffling
And boy, they did crush it, man. I'll tell you what, I probably directed with a little more ferociousness than I normally would, especially the uptune.
My favorite image of Jim directing the end of a song is that he cuts off the chorus and stomps out there. He doesn't smile.
If you look at the end of that uptune of that second set, you'll see him say something. And we all have our own interpretation of what he says, but I would love to get a lip reader and see exactly what's coming out of his mouth. But it was something along the lines of take that, you know, that type of thing. It was just, oh.
It's not like that old, you know, I know I was gritting my teeth. They knew how I felt about it. It better be good, you know. But it was. I was mad. You see, at the end of that, I was just gritting my teeth. Hey, you like that, guys, you know, or something. I don't know what. But it was good. Bless their hearts, you know. You go back and watch that. They were something else. That was one of the most awesome, I think, uptunes we ever did in contest.
Well, of course, the next day, Robert E. Lee not only won, but won big audience reaction and everything. And Jim told me that day, he says, you know what? I will never doubt your opinion on uptunes. He says, you were absolutely right about that other song.
Turns out we weren't behind. We were actually 10 points ahead after the first round, but because of this erroneous, just completely wrong information, I think we put on the performance of a lifetime.
That was a pretty historical performance, but it would not have been, I think, as inspirational if the chorus had not felt that there was some danger of winning that competition. But whoever leaked that helped the VM quite a bit.
You know, he was an alpha male, you know, leader competitor, and that brought out that so much. It's very clear in that moment.
I was still upset about that first set, but I don't know. I always thought that
1991, another cool year for the vocal majority. It was the contest before I was in, and so I was real keen on what they were doing. And ironically, it was in Louisville, Kentucky, who'd been the course's rival for all these years. And they go in there and sang Alexander's Ragtime Band. Of course, that song was picked out by David Wright because we never pick out our own songs. But the ballad was really cool because they sang Who'll Take My Place When I'm Gone, which is what they sang in 1975, and had an alternate verse to it, and a little key change in there. And that was really, really cool for a person who knew the VM to know the subtleties of doing something like that. And for the course to keep the run going with the song they sang in their first contest, pretty cool.
Take my place in your wonderful arms, who will embrace all your wonderful charms, and who'll always
1994, the chorus sang an up tune called Running Wild, and Bob and Rosemary helped us choreograph that. But we also sang Wonderful Mother of Mine. And that was significant to, I think, to a lot of the guys in the chorus. Jeff Oxley had just lost his mom. It was my first contest, and my mom was there. I wrote her a note, told her to open it before we went on. And it was special to Jim because his mom would sing that Wonderful Mother of Mine on Mother's Day at church. So that's been a song that I think's touched a lot of folks. So 1997, the chorus was rearing, ready to go back, and we were trying to decide what we were going to do on our up tune. We had a great ballad picked out of You'll Never Know My Buddy that Jim had arranged, but we just couldn't find that right up tune. And so we thought, well, what about Redhead? The chorus had sang it in 1982, but what if we could bring it back and maybe polish it up and do something a little bit different?
Well, in 1997, I got a call from Chuck Mitchell, and he said, we'd like to know if Rosemary could go ahead and change, because we're going to do Redhead again, keep it, make it a little bit different.
They were like, yeah, hey, we'll be glad to reteach it and teach it to the guys. And we're like, no, let's upgrade it. Let's do some more.
And I said, well, okay, well, let me check with her. And I did. I checked with her, and she said, are they changing anything, any interpretation or anything? And I said, no, they're not. Well, then I think it's fine the way it is.
Rosemary was like, well, I don't think we need to. I think what stood then will stand now. And Chuck and some of the guys, we weren't quite ready for that.
You mind if we try doing something different in this? No. Go ahead.
That's when we invited Cindy Hansen into our world. And so she came in and did her version of it. It had a couple of homages to the Calderons in there. And that started a long-standing relationship with her that she did many, many more uptunes for us after that.
Redhead, my pal, then you'll know why she's the one I love. I love my redhead. She's my favorite. She's all mine, and I'm gonna savor it. Redhead, she's my favorite gal. I love my sweet little redhead, little ginger redhead.
2000 was really, really fun. We were in Kansas City, and I think about that now being 25 years ago. What was cool is we were getting younger, and so we did this version of Mardi Gras March, and we had a little drum line, but there was a boy band called NSYNC back in the 2000s, and we had our own little version called VM Sync. And they came out and did some boy band dancing and that kind of thing.
Trombone begins to slide. Oh, what a day, what a day when they play that crazy rhythm and blues. To the beat that's got the population rocking out of their shoes. With a roll of the drum and a tum-tum-tum, everybody knows what that means. There'll be dancing in the streets of New Orleans, New Orleans. Dancing in the streets of New Orleans.
One of the guys, we called him Revlon. Well, we were at a district contest, and Mike said, listen, I can go to district, but I got to play in a soccer game. And so we found a flight. As soon as he gets off stage, got on a plane, went home, goes to the stadium or the field to play soccer, and he's out there and he's doing really great. Well, he gets kicked or something, he gets hurt. The coaches and trainers come out, and they're working on his leg or whatever, and they look up at him and they go, Michael, are you wearing makeup?
Look at big brass band and blow as they go marching to the Mardi Gras. Now see the leader waving to you. Happy days and hallelujah. Lucky to be standing where you are. And ah, that Dixieland, with the toot-toot of flute and the hoop-pa-pa. Ain't they fine, all in line? They go marching, marching, marching as the flare fills the air at the Mardi Gras. And I say as they play, hallelujah, what a day. Marching to the Mardi Gras, the baddest band you ever saw. Oh, what a day, what a day when they play the Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras.
When I think about 2003, that's when I really think about the greatness of David Wright.
You give your hand to me, and then you say hello.
We had a great ballad plan, but as usual, we couldn't come up with the right uptune, and we kept asking David to help us. And around April, I think it was, I mean, think about that. 90 days before he comes out with this putting on the Ritz concept that ended up slaying him. And we got Cindy Hansen to help us out. We put a little country western stuff to it. But that was a fun year as well.
Can't you see him strutting, spending every dime, spending every dime? shall climb, spending every dime on a time. We'll stroll right down Park Avenue, so happy, happy, all dressed up just like an English chappie. Very snappy. Come with me and we will go down through that street. No one will know we're just misfits. Putting on your ritz, even though we're misfits. That's the place where every little dolled up bell goes. In fancy clothes, just back your eyes and pass right by those swell boats. Rubbing elbows. Let's go down to where the best all hang around. And we'll be dressed up oh so fine. Right in line, stuck in line. Well, I declare we will attend that grand affair. We'll be spending every dime. It'll be so fine, spending every dime. Yeah! What a wonderful
So 2006, that's the last one in the run. And it was a really interesting time in the society. You know, there was, VM had won 9 in a row, and people respected the VM and loved the VM, but maybe kind of like the Patriots or the Yankees are like kind of getting tired of it. And the competition is just getting so much better.
That glory, hallelujah, sway, 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 while they play, they push my mouth,
And so we had this idea of singing the old songs and Shine On Me and The Chords Are Still Ringing in Your Heart, really kind of an homage to Barbershop as our ballad.
Oh, shine on me.
It was really good, but it was kind of hard even for the guys to kind of get into that and work through that. But our up tune, this is one of the few times when we actually took today and right and said, here's the song we want to sing. Chad Impke found a song called Marching Along with Time. And the idea there was we still march on. Things change, but we still got it.
Marching on, my fortunes turning with this world. This world of ours is ever changing. The hands of time keep rearranging. Oh, but with every change, I'm right on the beat, and I just won't let the grass grow under my feet. Well, I'm marching along with time. I'll be marching from time to time. I'm not gonna let the parade go by. Not I. You know that time marches on, and so do I, so do I. Well, one day I changed my horse for a motor, and then of course I was changing my car for a plane to fly. You know that time marches on, and so do I, so do I. There'll be a change in music, yes, a change in rhythm, and a change in dancing, but I'll be there right with them.
I remember, part of, I think one of the reasons I ultimately stepped out for a while was that when we would win, for me, at first it was exultation and celebration, and then as my role kind of increased in the chorus, and it was expected that we would win, that it became a relief.
We expected to win every time we sang, every district, every international. For many, many years, before my time in the 70s and in the early 80s, and then obviously through the end of the 2000s, the VM was far and above the best chorus in the world. They basically defined the art form. They taught other choruses how to do this. I think you ask some of these great choruses, the Masters of Harmony, Ambassadors of Harmony, some of these great choruses, they pattern themselves after the vocal majority. So obviously, these choruses, with their immense talent and their immense leadership in their choruses, they got better and better and better. And so, you know, here was the VM and here was everybody else for a long time, and it started doing this, and it got tougher and tougher for the VM to be the VM, because the difference was not as great as it used to be from first to second.
And that wasn't a great feeling. It was just kind of like, you know, because you feel like that it's your job to bring these guys to win, and anything less than that, you know, is a failure. And so it's just kind of like, whew, you know, and I didn't want, whew, you know. So it kind of lost its luster after a while. And not that I'm not grateful for every single performance and, you know, the journey that went into every one, but the result, after a while, lost its luster for me.
The Vocal Majority had won 11 gold medals, and it was their year back and our year also. We were going to be competing, and we worked hard, really hard, and we wanted to win the contest. What we never talked about and didn't even want to do was beat the Vocal Majority. We loved them. Jim Clancy should always have a gold medal on his chest. So we were in this weird zone where we wanted to win the contest, but we didn't want to beat the Vocal Majority.
Virtuosos, the cream of every famous band, every band, 76 trombones at the crowd.
First of all, everything else aside, when you see a performance like that, if there's anything to you at all, you're thrilled. And that was fantastic, man. That, oh my gosh, it was an epic, you know, what they did.
But we worked hard, and we did a set that, you know, came off really well. The audiences definitely seemed to like it, and we felt really, really good about it. Before it was even announced, I literally got back to my seat after competing, and the Vocal Majority had competed before us.
I was pretty satisfied with our set. I mean, we'd done a Georgia set, and guys sang the heck out of it. The crowd went nuts over it, man. I felt pretty confident.
Well, for 8 hours, because we sang in the morning, for 8 hours we had the highest chorus round in the history of the society, and we got beat.
I was just sitting there in my seat, and all of a sudden, between choruses, I sensed that somebody is I was on an aisle seat, and I sensed that somebody's in the aisle sort of looking at me. So I turned, well, there's Jim Clancy, who I still get butterflies when I see.
Yeah, I was sitting out there. After they performed, they came back to their seats. I saw Jim sitting up here in the first balcony. I had to go up there. I almost ran up there, and I worked my way through down to him and gave him a big hug, man. I said, unbelievable.
He said, it looks like you might win this thing. And he said, I want to tell you, he said, you guys just were so good, I can't imagine you're not going to win. And he said, and I just think that if anybody's going to beat us, I would like it to be Jim Henry and the Ambassadors of Harmony.
I said, I just want you to know, man, if you win this thing, you beat the Vocal Majority at our very best. I want you to know that, man. I'm so proud of you.
The 2009 first place gold medal chorus champion with 2,926 points. I think that's the highest that's ever been scored in this contest. The St. Charles Ambassador of Harmony!
It was a great moment for me, man, it really was.
And you know, it was kind of funny, that was our second gold medal, and we all felt guilty. It's like, wait a minute, we don't want to win that, that's a Vocal Majority. But they were so good to us, and so kind, and so encouraging.
But they're our brothers, man. Greg's been up there several times coaching them. In the early years, I went up a couple of times, you know, work with them. They've come down and worked with us and all of David's arrangements, but so we're so close to them anyhow.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And when I was a little kid, listening to the Vocal Majority with my brother, I never would have dreamed that this would be the case. In my wildest dreams, that I would actually be friends with these guys and be a part of their family and have them be a part of ours. It's just kind of surreal and beautiful.
Yeah, the chorus had been under the direction of Jim for so long, and it was a state of, it was no secret. Jim would say it, all the time, that Greg was going to be the heir apparent and he was going to take over. Well, it just so happened that when that time was supposed to come the first time, Greg couldn't do it.
The transition period between Jim and Greg to Jeff and Jim, back to Greg and Jim, it was a crazy time.
Well, it had always been Jim's show. But Jim also had, I believe, had the realization that it's not going to last forever.
I don't remember. Maybe it was, even in the 90s, it started appearing in the bios that, Greg is the heir apparent to the throne of the vocal majority, right? And I guess I always thought it was far enough down the road that I would catch up to that concept.
As a guy who'd been in the vocal majority 20 years or whatever at that time, everybody knew Jim's going to pass it on to Greg.
Watch me and you will find I just won't be left behind. Father Time marches on with his head up high, his head as high as mine. Marching by, and so do I, and so do I. Keep marching, always marching, marching along as time goes by. I'm marching right along with time. Don't you know that I'm still in my prime? Don't want to let one moment get away. No way, oh yes, as time marches on. What is now will soon be gone. 'Cause time just keeps on marching, marching on. And so do I. Well, I won't let the parade go by. For time's marching on with his head up high. And so am I.
He was the heir apparent back in the early 80s. He directed his first song in the 80s, did such a masterful job.
But I always felt like that, okay, this would be great, but it's down the road, right? Because I was slow to mature. I didn't really have my own identity as a director, because I had Jim Clancy in front of me, just like all the other guys did.
We always begin with a tune-up. Usually Greg, who is my associate director now, my son Greg, does a lot of the directing now. Eventually there'll be more and more of a transition, and one of these days when I run out of energy, he will of course become the vocal majority director.
So everybody knew, I think, that he had the talent. It was just a question of time. It was just understood. We didn't need to talk about it. It was just, he was going to be the guy.
I think it was definitely in his heart vision, to be able to pass the legacy, to your son is, what better story is there than that, right?
This chorus was meant to, it's a Clancy machine is what it is. It's a Clancy heart. And it's worked out the way it's supposed to work out. Greg was supposed to be the next director of the chorus.
As he began the transition to Greg, it seemed like that would be a very natural thing, but I don't think Greg was ready.
Greg came and we were talking one day and he goes, hey, I can't do it.
I took some time off in 2008. There was so much happening around me, and with the economy and work and my marital relationship and the chorus and wanting to be there for them desperately. And I felt like I was letting Dad down, and that was the biggest part of it.
And I watched Greg struggle, because I'm friends with lots of different people, and I could see that he loves the chorus, but he was having a hard time. Something was not connecting very well.
It was just an emotionally chaotic time. It wasn't necessarily secure. I think subconsciously I knew I wasn't ready. So I came back at the beginning of 2009 with the assumption that I was going to take the chorus to Anaheim. And I got up in front of the chorus maybe 3 weeks, and I just felt weak. I wasn't emotionally in a really stable place just in my life. And I got in front of him and I just was like, I am not ready for this.
Still be the one.